Okay, so we are live now. Hello, guys, and welcome to this interview preparation course with Java. So, in this course, we'll be seeing some core Java questions which are often asked in interviews in big MNCs or many companies. So, during this period of time, we'll see basic questions and some advanced questions and how to answer them if they are asked to you in the questions in the interview. So before starting the video, I want to clear something that this questions will help you in getting the basic understanding of how the questions are asked in interviews. It is not the overall questions that will be asked only. So you have to dive deep in the language and you have to study it very well. These questions will help you understand how the questions are asked in the interviews. So let's dive into it. So this course is brought to you by the Education Diary. Let's move on. So let's begin this video. So the basic first questions which is often asked is what is Java? It is a very simple question, and if you are learning Java, you should know it very well. So Java is a high level programming language. It is general purpose. It was developed by James Gosling back in 1995. Currently it is under the Oracle. So this should be your answer if this question is asked. Let's move on to the next question. So another question we just asked is how is Java platform independent? So if you have learned Java previously, you must know that the application of Java which is very useful is it's platform independent. So you write your code once and it can be run on any platform. So how is this possible? So Java is also called written once and run anywhere. So what happens is you write your source code into your editor, then it's converted into a bytecode, which is an intermediary language. So it's converted into the bytecode, and then bytecode can be run on any machine using the JVM. So this Java virtual machine is different for every system. Like for Windows, it is differently defined. It's Mac for it differently defined. So because of the bytecode, it is platform independent. Let's move on to the next question. So why Java is not 100% object oriented? So it's a bit twisted, not kind of twisted, but bit twisted, because when you learn Java and if you are referring to the online sources, you will learn that Java is purely object oriented, and it is, but it is not 100% object oriented. Why? So because of its primitive data types. So it has primitive data types like boolean, byte, char, integer, float, double, long, and short. There are 8 of the primitive data types. There are non-primitive data types as well, but because of the primitive data types, it's not 100% object oriented. Why? Because if you want to use it as the object, so you have to use the wrapper classes. So what are the wrapper classes? Wrapper classes converts them into the objects. So if the there is a typo error here, boolean is b small, not capital. So wrapper classes are nothing but if there's boolean, it's with b capital, it's byte, it's b with capital, it's char, it's c with capital. What it does, it converts them into the object, and then you can use it. So this should be your answer. You should know it, that it's not 100% object oriented, although it's purely object oriented. Let's move on to the next question. So what are access specifiers in Java? So if you have used Java previously or any language in common, there are access specifiers. So access specifiers are nothing but it defines the scope of your variables, your classes, methods, and all that. So what it does is it allows that if some method or some variable is public, you can access it from anywhere in the package. If it's private, you can access only in that package and in its child classes or something like that. And there is also protected and default. They will not ask you each and individually if they are only asking what are the access specifiers. Let's move on to the next question. So this is a very important questions. Are pointers used in Java? And justify your answer. So first of all, you should be knowing what pointers are. So while if you have studied C++, we used to use pointers to get the memory location and then manipulate the data. So in Java, that's not the case. Pointers are not allowed in Java. Why? Because using of pointer is very unsafe. It increases the code complexity. So basically uh, Java became famous because of the code simplicity back in the days. Because of that, they also did not allow the use of pointers. There is also security reasons. They don't want the users to access the memory location directly. It's the uh, it's work of the Java virtual machine to allocate memory. So if the user tried to manipulate the memory locations on their own, there might be some issues with it. So because of the security reasons, the pointers are not allowed in Java. So you should be knowing why pointers are not allowed in Java. Let's move on to the next question. So why strings are immutable in Java? So first of all, strings are non-primitive data types. It is not considered in primitive data types. There's one more term you should be knowing, that is string pool. So the string pool is nothing but, let's say you have a memory location, a chunk of memory, which is called pool, where all the string literals are stored. So if you are creating some string, let's say string my name is equal to JAY. So this string literal JAY will be storing in the pool. So this string pool requires string to be immutable because of security reasons. So if strings are mutable, it can be changed by using shared reference. So it will be difficult for the compiler. And there are security reasons because strings are used in data connectivity, database connection. So if the strings are mutable, it creates security problems for the program. So that's why strings are immutable in Java. There are workarounds, but you can't directly uh, change the string. Immutable means you cannot change a string after declaring it. Yeah, so let's move on to the next question. So what is method overloading? So method overloading is nothing but we can create same methods name which have the same name and different parameters or type. So let me give you the example of it. We'll move on to our IntelliJ. If you are getting any doubts during the questions, you can go on and drop it in the comment section. Create a new class, a class, call it overload. Create our main. Let's create a method called print. Yeah, we are creating a method which is called print name, and we are passing the parameter name and we are printing it. Just a simple method. Let's create another method, print name, which will take an integer. Yeah, see, we are creating two methods with same name but different parameters. So Java allows this at us to do the method overloading, and we can access our method in the main. So if we are trying to do, let's say we are trying to make two methods with same name, which is print name, and we are also giving the same parameters. See, now it will give us an error, correct? If we are trying to do method overloading, we have to give it two different parameters. Parameters should be different. You cannot create same parameters and same method names. And if you are trying to do, like, you will say I'll change the return type, but it still gives us an error because it's already defined above. So what you have to do is you have to create different parameter. So here it is taking string, here it is taking value. So yeah, you get the gist of it. So let's move on to the next question. So now let's see what is method overriding. Yeah, so we saw what is method overloading. Now we'll see what is method overriding. So in the interviews, they often ask the difference between two of it, because if you are a fresher and you are trying to give answers to this, it might be a bit confusing to it. So I put some code over here. So what is method overriding? So method overriding is something connected to inheritance, which has to done with the parent class and the child class. So what we do is we have declared a method named dad in the father class, and in parent class there is a class named father, which is the parent class. We have a method which has named dad, and it's printing I am father, right? Then we are extending the father class, and the class which is extending is child class, and we are giving the same method name, same parameter in the child class, and we are printing I am son. So this is method overriding. We declare same method in the parent and the child class, and it allows us to do that too. So let's move on to the next question. So what's the difference between stack and heap memory? So if you have done dynamic programming, you can give the answer to it very quickly. So stack memory is something what a limited memory for your program. It's already defined. All your variables and method names, all the stuffs are the stack memory. It's defined memory. It has the chunk of it. It's previously defined. And the heap memory, it's dynamic memory. So if you want to use heap memory, you have to use the new keyword for dynamic memory allocation. If you know, we use something like this. Let's say we are creating a scanner class. See, so if we are using this new keyword, then the memory allocation is doing in heap. So we use this new keyword to allocate memory dynamically. That is the main difference between stack and heap. That heap memory, it's a dynamic memory, and stack is previously defined memory. It's if you try to put more stuff into it, it will cause you the stack overflow. It is not the case that if you the heap will not overflow, but it's very rare that the heap overflows. Stack is previously defined, so there might be some issue if you try to put more stuff into it. So let's see the next question. What will be the output of following code? So this type of questions you get a lot during the interviews. So try to see first if there are any errors in the syntax, because they put many times some syntax errors into it, and you'll try to solve your whole code taking your time, but there is some syntax related issues. So go for the syntax error first. So here there is no syntax errors. We can make sure of that. So what will be the output of following code? So if you have not done this previously, you'll think this will give us 35 runs and this will give us runs 35, right? But that's not the case. Let's see what will it give. Let me explain it first. So in the first case, what will it do? There are two numbers, 5 and 30. So it will give us 35 and then it will print runs. But in the second case, we are printing runs, which is a string, and then we are adding 5 and 30. So this will be also considered as a string only. It will be considered into this runs. It will be added into this runs. It will print runs 5 and 30. Let's try and do it. Out was it 5 plus runs? Let's try and run it. See, it's giving us 35 runs. It's adding the first two numbers. And in the second case, what it is doing, it's adding the string into the this runs. So it is considered as a string. This is a good one. If you have not done it, you can't explain it. So do this kind of the questions. Let's move on to the next question. So this is the uh, tricky question. What they are asking, can you override static or private method? So by saying it, you might say that overriding is allowed in Java. So you will answer yes, it is allowed, but you have to read it carefully. It's saying static or private method. So static and private methods cannot be override. So because it's simple, right? If you are declaring a method as private, you cannot access the this method into the child class of parent class if it's declared private in the parent class only. So overriding cannot be done. And as it is for static methods, it can be done. There's a workaround. You can uh, override it, but it's not called as overriding. It's called as method hiding. You are hiding your main method which is declared in the parent class. So you cannot override your static or private methods in Java. Let's move on to the next question. So what's a constructor? So constructor in Java is a special method that is used to initialize objects. A constructor is called when an object of a class is created. So when you create a class, uh, and then you create the object of that class, this constructor is called by default. So this constructor is usually used for initializing your variables and stuff. So constructor is something like this. Let's see. Constructor name should be the same name as your class name. So this is our constructor method. So let's print something into it. Let's create it above the main method. So this is how you can create your constructor. Let me give you a more specific example. Public class constructor construct yeah. So let's focus on this only, getting some issues with it. So this is how you can create a constructor. So if they ask what is constructor used for, you can say you constructor can be used for initializing your data or variables. Let's move on to the next question. So what is this keyword in Java? So this keyword refers to the current object in the method or a constructor. So there might be some confusions when you use your parameters or the class members which has the same name. So to remove that confusion, use this keyword in Java so that you can refer to the current object. So this is mostly used in constructor methods to differentiate between the class members and the parameters passed in the function. Let's move on to the next question. So what is the difference between comparator and comparable in Java? So uh, if you have studied collection frameworks, you must know it. If not, you have to study collection frameworks first. So both are interfaces, as you know. Comparator and comparable both are interfaces which is used to sort collection elements. The main difference between two is comparable is single sorting sequence, uses single sorting sequence, whereas comparator uses multiple sorting sequence. And the comparable is of java.lang package, and it uses the compare2 method, whereas the comparator is in java.util package and it uses the compare method. So let's move on to the next question. What does Java use? Java uses pass by value or pass by reference. So Java is strictly pass by value only. Why? Because we don't use the pointers in it, right? So Java uses pass by value. So whenever you try to pass your parameters into the method, it's giving you the copy of the, it's passing the copy of your variables. There are workarounds, but it does not uses pointers. That's why it's strictly passed by value. Let's see example of it. Let's say you are creating a method, creating a public add, and you are passing two parameters in it, either a, either b. Correct? What you are doing, you are doing the addition of it. Okay, so a plus or equal to b, you are doing this only. So what we are going to do, will declare two variables equal to 10, here b is equal to 20. We'll call our method add a and b. Now if you try to print your variables, what should it print? See, it's printing 10 and 20 only. So what's happening over here is, so you are passing your variables 10 and 20 into it. So they are passed as a copy. The value is passed. It's the addition is done, but it's not reflected over here because the value is passed, not the reference, not the memory location. So we can say Java is strictly passed by value only. Let's move on to the next question. So what's the difference between double equals to and equals method? So the first difference is clear as always. It's one is method and one is operator. Double equals is operator and equals is a method. That's the first difference. And the main difference between equals and double equals is double equals compares the memory location of two objects, while equals compares the content of two objects. So if the memory locations are equal of both, then it will print true. And the in equals, if both the strings are equal, this both are used for strings, and equals method is usually used for strings. It compares the content of it. So there's one string which is storing hello world and another string storing hello world. So if both have the same characters, it will print true. But in the case of double equals to, if they are both on the same memory location pointing to the same memory, then it will only print true, otherwise false. Let's move on to the next questions. So what is singleton class in Java? So in object oriented programming, a singleton class is a class that can have only one object at a time. After the first time, if we try to initiate the Java singleton classes, the new variable also points to the first instance created. So while using Java, you can create singleton classes. So what happens is, if you make an object of the class, you can create one object at a time only. You can't create multiple objects, right? You can make copies of variables and then point to it, but you can make only one object at a time. So why is this the case? Why are the singleton classes used? Because of the security reasons. If you don't want that this class or this methods to be changed afterwards, you can create singleton classes that will create only one object and it will do the work. Let's go on to the next questions. So how can we create immutable classes in Java? So if we want to create immutable class, the class should be declared as final. So the uh, child classes cannot be created. Then you have to create data members in the class must be declared as private. So the direct access is not allowed. Then the data members in the class must be declared as final so that we can't change the values of it after the object creation. So this should be your points if they have asked how to create immutable classes in Java. Yeah. So let's see some coding examples. So binary search is often asked in interview questions. We'll see how you can use binary search. This should be mostly asked in coding rounds, but if you are getting it in interview, they also asked in interview questions as well. So what happens is binary search is used for what? It's used for searching, right? So let me give you first, we'll run it and I'll show you then. Yeah, it's telling us the -1. So what is happening over here? Let's see. So we are creating an array, right? Which is not sorted, which is like something like 10, 8, 7, 5, 1. And then we have created a method which is binary search. So what we are passing here is we are passing an array and we are passing a target value. So what is this is we are trying to find some target in our specified element. So how does binary search work? You have to know it. You create an array, you divide into two, and then you'll check if it's greater or smaller than it. If it's greater, you'll try to find it in the right. If it's not, you'll try to find it on the left. Correct? So the first thing that you have to remember is if you are giving the binary search, if they have asked to search a target element which has the greatest good time complexity and space complexity. So first thing you have to notice is if they have told us that the array is sorted or not. If the array is sorted, then you must get in your mind that I can use binary search in it. Binary search is always used when the array is sorted in ascending or descending order. So in this case, it's in descending order, right? Correct. So what we'll do is if the array is, let's say our target element is 5. So what we'll do, we'll divide the array into two parts. If it's two parts, right, then we'll get the middle element. So let's see, we are declaring a start element which will start from the 0th. Then we are creating the end which will point to the end member here on the 1. First will point on 10 and end will point on the 1. So what we're going to do is we'll iterate a loop, correct? Then what we are going to do, we are going to get a midpoint. So what is mid? We'll divide first and last element, we'll do the addition and we'll divide it. So we can do that by using this equation. Why we are using it? Because we don't want the integer data type to overflow. For that reasons we are doing this. So this will give us the mid element. So what will it give? The first one is 0, the last one is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 plus 4 by 2 is 2, right? So 0, 1, 2, it will point to 7, correct? So we'll get 7 here, over here. Then what will happen? Our target element is, let's say, 5, correct? So what will it check? Let me put 5 here. What will it check? If it's lesser or greater than this 7. So it's lesser, so we'll move on to the right part of the sub array. If it should be on the left, we'll go to the left part. but the phi is lesser than it, so we'll move on to the right part. So we have put some conditions over here. What is happening? If mid is equal to target, we'll return mid. If our mid element is greater than target, what we are going to do? We'll just increment start into mid plus 1. In this case, our mid element is greater than target, so what we are going to do? Will increase our start element, which will come here from here on the phi, mid plus 1. And if it's not the case, what will happen? N is equal to mid minus 1. So we'll move our mid element here on the 8. But in this case, we are searching for phi. So it will give, we'll move on to the right part of it. Yeah. And if if we do not find our element in it, we'll return minus 1 simply. Correct? So that's about it. Let's run it one more time. We are passing phi. So yeah, it's giving us 3. So 0, 1, 2, and 3. The correct answer. So binary search you should do the most for interview questions, because they ask a lot of binary questions, binary search questions. So do it carefully. So yeah, let's see if you guys are getting any issues in this. Oh, long line. Yeah, Suhas C. So Suhas, heap memory is used when you want to allocate dynamic memory. Let me show you. Yeah, Suhas. So let me show you. Suhas, this is, let's say this is our stack memory. So when you try to write your code, all the members that you declare, variables or methods, they will be in the stack memory. So what's happening is stack memory is previously defined. It has the limited memory in it. So if you try to create some variables, let's say variable a, this will be stored in your stack memory. Let's say you have some method which is add and all that. This all are in your stack memory. So if you try to do put more stuff into your stack memory, it will overflow because it's previously defined only. It has the limited amount of space in your stack memory. Whereas it's not the case with your heap memory. Let's heap memory looks something like this. This is your heap memory. So when you try to create some object of some class, you have to allocate dynamic memory. So it will be not given memory until the program is up and running. So what you do, let's say you are defining scanner class. So this new keyword is used for dynamic memory allocation. By using new, the memory you will be allocating is in the heap memory. You're getting it, Suhas? Okay, I guess you have got your point. So basic thing you should understand is heap memory is the dynamic memory where you can allocate dynamic memory to your program. Yeah, so that's about it. If there is no more questions. So yeah, these were some core Java questions that that they are asked in the interviews. If you want more questions like this, we have a course specially for it, and you can visit to the educationdiary.com. You can select a course there. And thank you all for watching this video. I hope you have got something new to learn in this video. Bye. I'll see you in the next video.